everyone, it's Suzanne. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a middle grade book haul. I have fallen in love with middle grade books. I find them so whimsical and magical. I'm building up our middle grade library for two reasons. One, I love the books. And two, I have a 7-year-old. She's coming up to these as well. And if I'm still loving them now, she will love them for a long time as well. I think it's a great investment. And without further ado, I'll dive right in. The first books I'm going to share with you today are from the same series, and this is The Wizards of Once. And these are by Cressida Cowell. She's the author of How to Train Your Dragon. This is the first book of the series, and this cover is the UK version, and these covers are the US version, so I knew the covers were different. However, it was such a sweet deal, I didn't mind. However, I didn't realize that the actual size of the books would be different. So I have to say that I do mind. I prefer the US version. In the first book, we're introduced to a young boy wizard and a female warrior, and they have been taught to hate each other. But in this book, the worlds collide. This is a fantasy story, and it's been described as a great fantasy for boys and girls. Once there was magic that lived in the dark forest, only in the dark forest, but that was until the warriors came. The boy that I mentioned a moment ago, Zar, he should have come into his magic by now, but he didn't. So he's looking for a witch to steal her magic for himself. So he travels into the Forbidden Badwoods, and there he meets the warrior girl I mentioned, and her name is Wish, which is lovely. And we'll have to see what happens. There are 4 books in this series. Next we have The School for Good and Evil, and this is One True King. This is a spin-off series. This is kind of like the second trilogy after the original The School of Good and Evil. And this is The School of Good and Evil, The Camelot Years. And there's 3 primary works in the Camelot Years, and this is book number 3. In the first book of this series, we meet Sophie and Agatha, and the town they're from. Every year, there's a boy and a girl stolen. And it could be either 2 boys or 2 girls or one of each, but someone that's going to the good school, somebody that's going to the bad school. And Sophie and Agatha in the first book think they've been put into the wrong schools. They think it's reversed. So it's them trying to figure that out through the first book, which I did read and totally enjoyed. And I have been waiting for more time to jump back into the series. I thought it was fantastic. I only need 1 more book to complete the series after this. Next we have The Polar Bear Explorers Club, and this is by Alex Bell, and it's illustrated by Tomislav Tomek. Illustrated where? Oh my goodness. Oh. This is the second book in the series. There are 4 in the series. This is called The Forbidden Expedition. We join Stella Starflake Pearl, that's a long name, and her 3 companions, and she is trekking across Iceland with her 3 explorers when they come face to face with frost fairies, snow queens, and outlaw hideouts, unicorns, pygmy, dinosaurs, and carnivorous cabbages. Yes, I said cabbages. Stella gets separated from her explorers, and then it's about their journey trying to survive. It looks like a delightful series. I will let you know how I like it. The next book I'm really excited about. I've wanted this for a while. It's called The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and this is by Kelly Barnhill. Now, in this town, every year there is a child that must be given to the witch that lives in the swamp to protect everybody. And the reality is a witch does live in the swamp, but she doesn't want any of the children. It is the people in control of the town that are doing this to keep all the townspeople under their thumb and to have them sad and pliable. Now, what the witch usually does when she finds these babies every year, she usually gives them a drink of sunlight or starlight. I think sunlight. She gives them a drink of something. She gives them a drink, and then she takes them to the next town on the other side of the woods and finds home for them, so they're usually fine. But by mistake, she ends up giving this one girl a taste of moon, which makes her magical as well. So she ends up keeping this one child with her in the swamp. The little girl's name is Luna, and when she's approaching her 13th birthday, she starts to exhibit all the signs of magic. Meanwhile, in the town that I mentioned, there's a young man that decides to go in. He's going to save the town. He's going to go and kill the witch. Gorgeous. This is one of the things I love about middle grade. They have such beautiful illustrations. It's usually so magical. Next, we have the Winter House series, and that's by Ben Gutterson. And this is the third book in the series, and it's called The Winter House Mysteries. In the first book, we were introduced to an orphan named Elizabeth. She was sent to Winter House by her horrible aunt and uncle. And the one great thing that's there is a huge library that she discovers happily. And there she discovers a magical book of puzzles. And this book of puzzles leads to more mysteries for Winter House. And Elizabeth realizes that she's somehow involved in these mysteries. She's determined to figure out all the mysteries. Oh, I saw lots of illustrations in this one as well. The illustrator was Chloe Bristol. Sounds like another delightful middle grade series. The last series book I'm going to show you is Riders of the Realm. And this is by Jennifer Lynn Alvarez. And this is the first book of the series. And even my daughter was really excited when she saw the cover of this book. I'm going to read you the back of this one. I'm not that familiar. Deep in the jungle, the Salmon clan and their winged warrior horses live among deadly spit dragons, hordes of warring giants, and other perils. But when a small herd of wild steeds flies over their village, 12-year-old stable groom Raki and his clanmates are stunned. So Ecofrost, I love that name, Hazelwind, and all of Storm Herd have journeyed across a treacherous ocean to settle in this new land, only to find that the landwalkers is not as friendly as they thought they would be. Then the unthinkable happens. Ecofrost and Mare, named Shy Song, are captured, and suddenly everything changes. And with the giants gearing up for a ferocious attack, Raki and the Sandwinds and all the Pegasus will have to learn to trust each other before they run out of time. The next two books I'm going to show you are not of the fantasy series. They're a bit different, so fun to add to this video. And the first one is Heroines of Olympus, the Women of Greek Mythology. And this was recommended by Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts, another booktuber. And I couldn't wait to get my hands on this and to read this for Vivian and I. And I love it that it's totally focused on women in Greek mythology, which I hadn't seen before. So look, well, this one, obviously, Athena. We've all heard of Athena, but how many's in here? Oh, goodness. Wow. Oh, one's called Daphne. My mother would have been so happy. Wow, this has 50 women in this book. 50 of the most enthralling women of Greek mythology, including goddesses and nymphs such as majestic Athena, goddess of war, vengeful Nemesis, goddess of retribution. Yes, and it goes on. There will be a link for this below. I think this is fantastic for young girls. We read so much of the other Greek gods. So I'm happy to have one that focuses on all the women. And the final book I'm going to share with you is called Hidden Sea, A Tale of the Once and Future Nutcracker. And this is by Gregory Maguire. And I have to say, this font is terrible. I forgot what it was called. I had to look that up on Goodreads because I couldn't read it. It's Hidden Sea. Anyway, the cover is gorgeous besides that font. And one of the reasons that I have this is because my daughter loves the Nutcracker. And this fascination has not stopped. Oh no. I'm collecting different Nutcracker books for her, so different versions. And this sounded like a very original take on the Nutcracker. In this book, he is imagining the previous life of the Nutcracker. This sounds like a much darker version, and it's definitely a tale that we haven't heard. And I will let you know how it goes. I think this is definitely one that I'm going to be reading first. It sounds, now that I Just kind of glanced at the desk cover again before filming this, and I realized this might not be for somebody as young as my daughter. In fact, I would say that it isn't. Sounds definitely like, it sounds more for an adult because of the darker elements, and they really get into abuse. For example, here's one of the questions on the flap. Oh my gosh, everything's stuck together. Oh no. Oh my. Huh. There you go. Oh gosh. Okay. Getting sidetracked. Yeah. How can a person who is abused in life, shortchanged and challenged, nevertheless access secrets that benefit the disadvantaged and powerless? So ultimately, this hidden sea offers a message of hope, they're saying. However, I still am going to give this a read before I present it to my 7-year-old daughter. If you have read this story already, please let me know your opinion down below. Is this for children or for adults? That's everything I have to share today. If you've picked up any new books that you'd like to share, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to share in the excitement. And thanks for watching. I will see you with another bookish video soon.